Hello and welcome to Business Reporter's Future of Healthcare campaign. I'm Georgie Frost. The NHS is already under enormous pressure. A huge part of the solution is the drive to digital, which the government has placed at the heart of their plans. What does the successful transformation look like? Well, that's what we'll find out from Kay Cadell, founder of KCL-Digital. Welcome, Kay. Can you just start by outlining where the NHS is on its digital transformation journey?
Historically, the NHS has struggled with digital transformation. We have seen some rapid growth in the transformation pathway, though, coming out of COVID. Almost overnight, remote working and access to consultations and services continuing. But we knew that was not sustainable. For a lot of organisations to go back and review where they are on their roadmap for transformation is a real challenge for some, and that's going to leave some areas of the population behind in how they access services. That's creating problems here and now. We've got a massive backlog, and we absolutely need to get a handle on that, because we're going to see some areas continuing their growth and some just get left behind.
So we've seen fast growth over the last few years, but it is very patchy. So then what does a successful, holistic digital transformation project or program look like?
So we've got to create continuity and consistency, and I think the only way to do that is to really take people on the journey with their change. The historical approach to transformation has kind of been from project-based, where there's a start and an end. I'll get to it if it's important to me, if it impacts me, but we've got to change that and very much look at that holistic view. So firstly, we've got to take people on the journey. We've got to help them to understand what transformation means for them, how are they going to benefit, why they need to be a part of it. Remove those silos and isolations, and only then can we really build on what change we're going to bring and what are we going to deliver and what does that absolutely mean. We've seen recently the levelling up agenda that's being introduced, and that's really important because it's going to look at some fundamentals like making sure there are patient healthcare records in place, making sure that data is captured in real time and that it's accessible from anywhere. And these are some of the growths and continuums that we absolutely need to build on to make it successful.
How can you create meaningful change quickly and easily, though, without impacting frontline services and frontline staff?
Yeah, we've seen a massive change fatigue, haven't we, over the last few years, and that's continuing. It hasn't gone away. Healthcare professionals, administrators that work in services at all levels are feeling that impact as they try to tackle the backlog and work through some of the inconsistencies of processes and how services are operating. So introducing a transformation journey that's here to stay, we've got to embed, we've got to make it the norm. It can't be an add-on. Yes, we've got to win people over, we've got to take them on the journey, but we've also got to alleviate that fear that change can be incremental, it can be integrated. We can do that by bringing in steps of change, quick wins. That could be anything from improving their connectivity so that they can access records from anywhere. It could be helping to automate part of a pathway that hasn't been automated before. So yes, by really helping to not put additional burden, especially on those clinical facing teams, whilst taking them on the journey is going to be a challenge, but it's massively important. Something we can do is through requirements assessments and readiness assessments to really fully map out where they are.
What are some of the other challenges that might be faced when deploying digital transformation?
You've got to look at the dependencies. You've got to look at where you're deploying that change, really understand the local infrastructure, the local setup, other priorities that are coming into play as well. You can't just go in and deliver it in isolation. You've got to understand the whole digital strategy, the whole journey that's going to be embarked on. Yes, what are the people change elements? What's the appetite and understanding for the change? What's the skills and literacy capability on the ground that you're working with? But also you've got to understand the infrastructure that you're walking into. There's no point in being able to deliver a nice new shiny set of computers some new Wi-Fi if it's not used, if you're not understanding the building infrastructure, if you've not thought about the learning and the adoption program. So, these are just some areas that are often overlooked as you embark on some of those journeys.
Whenever we talk about the NHS, cost inevitably comes up. How can this be done affordably?
We often hear that projects, parts of transformation, are deployed again and again. There's a stop, there's a start, they're over budget, they're over time. It's been done very badly. What they thought they would get, they didn't get. And so we need to absolutely take that back to some of the points that we've already raised, which is massively important in terms of looking at those economies of scale. The investment agenda needs to absolutely capture lessons learned from other deployments as well, not to do things constantly from a new position. But I would also ask that skills are looked at in the NHS, and we are seeing some trusts absolutely addressing that. So what's the literacy growth pathway for everybody, and what skills are being introduced into the NHS so that we're removing those dependencies? So, for example, we need solution architects, we need business designers, we need co-designer analysts. These are the new roles that we need into the digital landscape that's evolving in the NHS, so that we can remove those dependencies and start to grow those skills, so that the change that we're seeing is a continuum, and it's a collective collaborative.
What's the role of the government in all of this?
I would ask the government to really think through some of the terminology that it's introduced into the initiatives. For the clinician on the ground, for the administrator working in the service, for them, they're often seeing change after change after change. But actually, we've been trying to achieve the same digital transformation again and again. So let's allow some of those initiatives to embed and to continue forward. We hear of new terminology, the levelling up agenda, the integrated healthcare programs, which are really, really important. But we've got to keep it simple. We've got to keep it achievable. We've got to remove the divide that we're seeing across digital maturity pathways. We've got to bring it together and focus it on a collaborative.
And finally, what are the 3 takeaways from our discussion?
The 3 takeaways are: 1, digital transformation is here, it started. 2, it doesn't have to be complex, it doesn't have to be difficult. We can introduce those incremental quick wins. And 3, it pays for itself.
That was Kay Cadell, founder of KCL-Digital.